It's my pleasure to be here. This is an ad. This is a print ad that I tore off from a magazine several years ago, and I cut off part of it. What do you think is in the missing part? Another person, perhaps, yes. Any other guess? Something to hold the basket. Very good. Another great possibility. What else?
Another person picking.
Another person picking. Good, also a possibility. So I've asked people in the past to sketch out what they think is missing. And I apologize, this is hard to see because of the projector. It's basically, one person thought, it's Singapore Airline, they're known for their service, and so somebody lounging on their airplane receiving a cup of tea. Here's another possibility, that she's picking leaves as she's pouring tea. And yet another possibility, this is impossible to see, but great job, someone receiving something from this person. All good guesses, all plausible guesses, all logical guesses. This is what is in the actual print. Kind of clever, nice, pretty well executed. Although I would argue that this is actually far more interesting than this.
She's cute.
That helps. But in a magazine where I tore this off, in a magazine full of glossy ads, looking just like this, possibly with a lot of good-looking people, this get washed out, get blended in with everything else. And so when we ask people to figure it out with us, they will surprise you because generally people are very good at figuring out if they have enough to go with. And when they have something to work on, to figure out, to solve, you get their attention. And this is probably one of the number one thing that I get asked, how do we grab people's attention? How much more sing and dance, how much more pizzazz do I need to have in order to grab people's attention? Well, that helps. When you have more pizzazz, when you have more amazing sing and dance, but you can also think about what you want to present in the sequence of facts and motion, what you present first and what you present next and so on and so forth, that would arouse curiosity and that get people thinking and guessing and figuring it out along with you. So this is what I love doing, what I do, because you can take lots of courses, spend your years and years trying to figure out how to become a better storyteller. Or you could just remember 3 rules. And I have 5 more minutes and I'll be done. And you'll be done too. And the first one, you've already seen it, is do you intrigue or do you data dump? There's the right time to do both. There's the right time to do either one. But know that when you know a lot, especially when you care about what you know and you want to share with other people, you could possibly be the worst person on earth to tell that story because you know too much. You can't step back. So just remember, is it the right time to present that half cut off ad? Or is it the time to just shove everything that you know? Sometimes you need both, but know when to do what. Now, that's the first rule. The second rule is knowing when to prove your point and when do you persuade your point. Proving is what our school system have done a great job training us how to do. If you remember, or for yourself or your children or grandchildren, in math exam, it doesn't matter if you get the right answer. If you don't show your steps, you'll only get partial credits at best. Okay? And so that's proving, that's showing the logics and the arguments and the analytics and these day data that you have to prove that the answers you have is the best. But these days, we also know that just because you have the facts doesn't mean that you'll change mind, just doesn't mean that you'll get people to do anything. Because they have to believe you. They have to buy into what you're saying, and that requires persuasion. And persuasion involves acknowledging your audience, understanding them, knowing when they need to be intrigued, when they need to be data-dumb, knowing that when you need to be passionate and when you need to be cool-headed, and when you need to use fact and when you need to use story. And then also, when you are passionate about something, you can say that I am very excited to be here this morning. Believe me. Or, I'm really excited to be here this morning. And then I don't have to say, believe me. Last rule, and this is perhaps the hardest for people, even including myself. The story of you isn't about you. Many years ago, I got to work with someone who started a business, an early childhood education enrichment business in Chicago. It's called Bubbles Academy. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's whimsical. I took my kids there. But the economics has really put the squeeze on him. And so he wanted to up his marketing game. And he came to me and he said, Esther, I've got this great story. I must include this in my marketing material. And the good story was that he and his wife used to live in New York. He was a competitive intelligence and an analyst, and his wife was a school teacher. And many years ago, they adopted a puppy, and she wanted to stay home and be with the puppy. And then he went to work. And the day that he went to work and his wife stayed home was September 11. They live in Jersey. They had the worst view of one of the worst tragedy. And that changed them. That caused them to think about what is really important in life. And so they uprooted themselves, moved back to Chicago, started this business because that's what's meaningful to them. And that's what he wanted to incorporate into their new marketing branding campaign. Well, after a lot of studying and interviewing and talking with their customers, we realized that the customers at Bubbles Academy, they are late 20s, early 30s, mostly mothers, stay at home, feel isolated, overwhelmed, because most of them are just having their first child. They're no more or less patriotic than any of us. But at that time in their life, they just don't want to be reminded of one of the worst things that happened to us. It took a lot, but I give him credit that the story of me and my company isn't about me. It's about my customers. And then when we look broader, we understood that there are a lot out there that he and his wife owns that could still allow us to put together a beautiful story that we incorporate into their business. But that hard step of removing yourself, the story and the facts and the experience could very well be happening to you. It's your story. But just remember that this, in the context of leadership, telling story is not about you. And I look forward to showing you how exactly do you apply those 3 rules.